everyone, and welcome to another call. So with us today is Ronnie Tsunami. Originally, he is from Honolulu, Hawaii. Ronnie has been working in the training and education industry for over 28 years, and his programs have been implemented in thousands of academic institutions, companies, and nonprofits around the world. He has been featured as an expert on a number of stages and virtual summits, and he has helped to develop support communities with millions of members in multiple fields, including business, technology, and health. Now, you may be asking, what does this have to do with spirituality specifically, right? That's what the show is about. Well, that's just it. Ronnie is also a business intuitive who uses his unique combination of skills and experience in marketing, technology, and spirituality to help entrepreneurs create, grow, and manage successful businesses while also aligning their passion and their life's purpose to create the world-changing legacy with his company, Rock You Academy. So today, he is joining me because we're going to talk about a topic that I find very interesting and fun, because it's precisely coming out of the intuitive closet, because I feel for a long time, that's where a lot of our intuition takes us. Ronnie, thank you so much for joining us.
Aloha, Angie.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
So you and I have met through a different platform, but at the same time, when you and I connected, you were so spot on the things that you were telling me that I'm like, this guy's more than just what he says he is. And that's kind of why I wanted to bring you on the show, because I think there's a lot of people that are very intuitive, that are, or they don't know it, or they know it and they don't show it, or they don't tell it. So that's why I wanted to bring you to talk about this topic.
Yes, I am a business intuitive. So I'm coming out of the closet, so to speak, as a business intuitive. And you're right. I think for me, one of the reasons I love doing what I do, which is as a business and marketing launch specialist, right? Launching programs and now helping coaches and speakers and authors, is because I intuitively read people. And when I say intuitively, I mean like deep into them. So often, and it didn't hit me till later in my career, when people would say, I learned more from you in 1 hour than I learned from 6 months, in training and education. And I just thought it was really good requirements analysis, as we say in the business world, right? Oh my gosh, I found out what you need. It's deductive reasoning. But there are things and emotions and basically insights I had that allowed me to drill down and essentially just get to the point. And I do like to focus. I'm a certified project manager as well. So I follow my procedures and processes and work breakdown structures and follow things as they flow. So I thought it was just, again, good requirements analysis. But when you can really dig in and zone into what people want, desire, and what they fear, right? And then address that, if you have the skill sets and experience to address those solutions, obviously in the business world is kind of where I land, then it just comes in pretty handy. And I would say that everyone is intuitive to an extent, right? There are different levels of intuitiveness, but we all have intuition. We all say, oh, I got some bad vibes in that person, or that person just gives off some really good vibes, and it's very charismatic. There are a lot of ways we say it, even though we may not call ourselves intuitive, but we read people. It's just that for me, I just read deep.
A little bit more.
A little bit more when you can tell there's one, when you can say someone's having a bad day, we can all argue that everyone has a bad day here and there.
Right.
But when you can pinpoint what went bad, with who, why, or how, and what the solution is, why not help that person? And I think that empathy comes out, and you'll find this, and I'm sure a number of people who are watching this have felt not just a little empathy, but an overwhelming empathy and desire to help people. And that's where I've been my whole life. It's when you have empathy and then you're like, oh my God, I got to save this person right now. And you'll do everything and anything because you literally feel their pain, literally feel it, right? Then that drives you even more. And those people, there's people that say they want to help. Then there's people that are like, I will help you no matter what.
Right. Right.
Those people that say, I'll help you no matter what, that's when I go, what's that drive? And to me, that's the intuitive level of, and the empathy that they feel that forces them. It's funny, when I talk to people, there are times where I say, would you like a massage? And they're like, oh yeah, yeah. I'm like, would you like massage? I don't know, your arm. Or, like, yeah, like, yeah, and I'm working on, like, well, how did you know? I'm like, yeah, I feel like you need pain. Well, you're busy. You don't need to do this. I go, no, I kind of need to help you because the pain you're feeling is the pain I'm feeling, in which
Right.
case I have no choice. I have to
Right.
cure your pain or
Right.
I'm going to keep feeling it. So there's a little selfishness, I suppose,
Right.
that goes into that, but that's my life now.
And it's funny, okay, funny in several ways. So what you didn't know is that you are my 7th episode of this season, which is I'm wrapping it up. And I opened it up with empaths. Episode 1 was talking about empaths, which is funny enough. But 2, it's something you just said a little while ago. And you said you can help people zone in into their desires and even their fears. I think we can go a step above that because consciously, there are some fears that a lot of people don't even know they are repressing and trying not to do. And again, the topic is, coming out of the closet. When you really didn't realize that that's what was going on and you're feeling things of people and you didn't know what was that like for you? Because in the 3D world, the person's saying they're absolutely fine. And then you're the empath feeling all these things saying, am I going crazy? Because I feel like they're not. Like, what the hell? How was that for you?
I struggled with it. I mean, ever since I was a child, I would feel things and I never really knew how to explain it. My parents would say that I at a bad time or I like to run away. And I don't think they understood that when let's say we were saying goodbye and I didn't want to say goodbye, but I was feeling everyone's pain, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling their sorrow, right? And so I would leave to physically be away from it. And as you get older, and of course, when you're a coach or like me or a consultant, I'm right there with someone, even on Zoom, right? Where we still have that connection. Feeling that I struggled because I don't want to upset people, but there are things I had to bring up, knowing we had to address these in order to resolve their problem.
Right.
And if we don't, their tension, their anxiety, all of that I was feeling. There are times where I would literally vibrate inside. And why am I feeling? And you're like nervousness, but Angie, you know me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get nervous. I'm a performer. I get on stage. So I couldn't understand why there were certain times where I would literally physically, my body would just shake. And the stomach, my chest, my and I was feeling their anxiety. I was feeling their fears. I was feeling their anger at times. And how do you bring that up in a conversation? By the way, I feel your pain. No, seriously, I feel your pain. Right? And as a CEO of a TV company and an academy and so on, there was a certain level of respect, as an IT technology marketing guy, follow science, right? Where I was very hesitant to bring up the fact that I'm feeling people's emotions, that I'm feeling their anxiety, that I'm seeing things. I mean, there are people, and you used to experience this between us, where I was like, there's a little girl here who's a little girl, and they're like, how do you bring that up in a meeting with your team,
Right.
with a staff that's looking at you going, excuse me, we have things to work here on here, and we got investors that we're talking to, and we have customers here. you need to keep your intuitive side quiet, right?
Even if they knew it was intuitive, because the ones that don't know it's intuition will think you're just going paranoid and seeing hallucinations. What are you talking about? You're seeing a little girl, he lost it.
He's crazy.
Right.
And that fear, I've had this for years. And so to your original question was, how did it make me feel? It made me feel like I was bananas. That's it. I just thought, okay, I'm losing it. And I've watched too much TV. I'm hallucinating. I'm having some reaction to food I ate, in terms of the shakiness. I would come up with a number of excuses. So the overall impact was I doubted myself. And the thing is, when you doubt yourself as an intuitive, because you feel these things and you're told, well, that's not true, or you're imagining it, or that just can't be possible because this is the way reality is versus the woo world. Then the biggest impact to me was just doubting myself. And in my line of work, where I have to help people, doubt crosses over. It's not, because for all my feelings of empathic, we also communicate and share our own feelings as well, right? It's a two-way street. And I don't think people realize that if I'm reading you, potentially you're reading me as well.
Right? Even if you don't recognize it, right?
And again, intuitively, again, if everyone has an intuitive feeling, right? Has intuitive powers. There's different levels of intuitiveness. But if I connect to someone who has, let's just say, more than usual intuitive powers, then they're going to feel me as well. And let's face it, we get those good vibes. Everyone has it. So if I'm doubting myself, I end up communicating or passing that doubt of myself to my customers, to my clients as well, to the people I'm talking to family members. So I am more confident now than ever before because I stopped doubting myself. And strangely enough, go figure, everyone I talk to now is more confident, right? Believes in themselves more.
Right.
So my point is, if you are empathic, if you are an intuitive, stop doubting yourself, because when you stop doubting yourself and believe in yourself, it's strangely enough, everyone around you starts to believe in themselves too. So you are doing them a disservice when you are hiding your intuitive side. And I can't say that enough.
But that's the thing. So not many of us were raised understanding that. Kind of towards the backwards. If you feel like this, don't tell anybody, you deal with it and blah, blah, blah. Now, energetically speaking, woo speaking, spiritually speaking, whatever we want to say, because you raised, let's talk about your example you just gave, because you raised your confidence in yourself. That's the energy you're vibing out. So what people have to understand is, with what you're saying, is because you are so profoundly grounded in that belief that you are now confident in yourself and you believe in yourself, that energy goes out to everybody that you touch and you raise them. And the reason I'm saying this is because of the opposite of what you said as well. When we don't do it, therapists, Reiki, everybody else, coaches, when we're feeling things and we're trying to repress them, there's a transference that we send to our clients that we're not aware of. So again, what you just said, we're not helping them. So it's not a matter of, yes, be good because you can help. It's also a matter of, you need to heal yourself because it's for yourself. But hey, if this is the line of work that you do, you definitely have to heal yourself. And that's what I learned when I went through my training. God, it feels like a lifetime ago already. Probably a lifetime ago, I also did training. And he would tell me that and I wouldn't understand. And as I started working with people and I started working with things, I was like, holy crap, I get it. And that's the whole thing. But
yes,
something I want to say, when you said you were trying to figure out if it was your diet or it was something, without going too deep into it, that is what society teaches us. What are we feeling and what's the Band-Aid? Nobody tells us, oh, you're picking up an energy because you're an empath, because you're feeling it from some guy that just crossed the street.
Yes, that Okay, so I've been in education for 28 years, right? And when I got sick in 2015 or 14 and I couldn't walk or see, so I healed and I went on a whole food plant-based diet and I healed. But strangely enough, in whole food plant-based diet, you have the energy of a whole fruit. It hasn't been processed. You're eating um, what nature intended, right? It's got the energy of an orange. And I tell people, so I learned nutrition, right? And oh my gosh, this is the power of nutrition. But then a couple of years later, I had my Kundalini, my awakening. And that's a whole strange story there, in that I had a healing touch practitioner working on me. And at that time, I didn't really even consider myself intuitive.
You were in the
Right. And so that woke me up. And then I had a lot of visions of images while I was on the table. And that sparked my whole journey of being an intuitive. But what that did was I moved from the body, right, or the mind, learning, to the body, nutrition, to the spirit, right, the energy side of things. So in my journey over 28 years, I've learned the power of the mind, the body, and now the soul, the spirit side of things. And now that I understand the flow, even when I learned from nutrition, the power of the right nutrients in whole food plant-based living, what I learned was in terms of energy, it wasn't just eating a strawberry or an orange, okay, that made me healthy. You can break apart an orange into its individual parts, water, it's the acidity, all of the different nutrients that are in an orange. You can't put it back together. No matter how much you try, you cannot take all those ingredients and create an orange. There's something else, and a life force that's part of it. Now I understand that there's a whole nother set of things that of things we can't see, that energy, as you said, that vibe that we give off, that it's only now that we see science catching up that goes, oh, we can see it, we can measure it. And yet we are not taught that, right, at a young age. It depends. Well, I guess it depends on who your parents are. But I was raised as a Christian, as a Catholic. My mother then converted to Buddhism, and then I learned more about Buddhism and energy there. But now I'm on a whole different level of spirituality and connection and understanding. And the people who knew me as a marketing technology guy, I was literally called the Tiki Techie. That's like technology. Coming out to them and even my business partners to say, actually, I'm going to a conference. It's a woo conference. Really? Why are you going to a woo conference? Well, it's me. Right. I'm now coming into my own and embracing it. And I'm the happiest and most connected and most confident person that I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
But it's because of people like you, right? And others who gave me the confidence to, it's funny to say coming out of the closet because that can mean a whole different thing. Right. But for me, in essence, I spent 28 years, and especially in technology, I spent all of those years taking people out of the equation in the name of efficiency, right? Technology. Right. Computers streamline, automate to take people out of the equation so you don't have all these errors, mistakes made by those crazy humans. Now, here I am in the last part of my life, trying to put people back into the equation. Right. Put emotions and feelings back into the equation, because that's what I found out matters most. Right. It's life.
And the thing is, we're all on a journey because, again, we weren't taught this. We go down the path that we did. You went down that path, which was techie and brain and thinking and logic and mind. Coming into this now is kind of the same thing where people in the woo space, we talk about the patriarchy and the divine feminine. It has a lot to do with different things, but the patriarchy last 2,000 years, everything has tried to be very logical and science. And if you can't explain it, and we got driven into our minds for a very particular reason, precisely to disconnect from our own power. now that the divine feminine energy is coming in, there are a lot of people coming out of the closet that have no idea what the hell is going on. They've never felt this. They don't understand why they're feeling the things they're feeling or dreaming the things they're dreaming. But it's because we're all remembering to come back in, and people like yourself and people that you and I both know and we talk with on this whole channel is about bringing everybody back into their heart, because that's where we belong.
Yes. You know, in Hawaii, we say aloha, alo meaning to share, ha meaning breath of life. In Hawaiian, aloha doesn't just mean hello or goodbye. It actually means to joyfully share the breath of life face to face. Right. So, and aloha for me is just that, sharing the breath of life, sharing energy together. Right. Knowing that has made me understand my mission, my purpose a bit more. To, as I say, I help those who help others, right? I help those who help others do what, though? Share the breath of life. As I say, I help people share the aloha. That's the my whole feeling. So in marketing, technology, whatever products I'm launching or helping people to launch, I'm like, how is this actually helping others? How is it helping others? And I work from that.
Right.
Based on that, then I build the whole program. So I'm combining my skill sets in terms of marketing and technology and product launches, combining it with the whole philosophy of us being connected, right? I believe there's a shift, and I know people will recognize this because we all feel it, that there's a shift in consciousness. I actually speak about this. I've spoken at conferences on how to accelerate the shift to higher consciousness with the help of communities, because again, aloha is spread from one person to the next person. You share aloha with one person, they feel good, they share with others, because we're all tuning forks. And the shift, if you believe in the shift of why are we doing this? And it's like, well, if you ask a lot, I don't know about you, but the coaches I talk to, they're always, I say, why do you do what you do? Well, I believe there's a higher calling. Like we got to help each other because there's this whole new world, this whole new earth is another term I hear. Okay, for what? What's the reason? Why are we here? Well, that to help accelerate that, to help spread that, to help people to go through this shift like we're going through this shift. Because if everyone shifts together, we enter a whole new plane of existence. It accelerates, or it helps humans to evolve right to the next level. If you believe that, then you believe in aloha. That's the whole concept in aloha. We're sharing and we're tuning forks. This is why when intuitives get together, I don't know about you, but for me, if I'm in the room with another intuitive, I know it's kind of like, and I hate to say this because people will say, oh my gosh, science fiction, but kind of like Star Wars, right? When you got one Jedi in the room with another Jedi, they recognize each other. It's kind of the way it feels, right? You feel that energy because we're tuning forks. And when you have two tuning forks next to each other, right, you tap one, the other fork will end up vibrating at the same frequency. We do that too. So can you imagine a whole room full of positive, intuitive people? Again, different levels. We're all intuitive. But if we can raise and increase the level of intuitiveness among all our fellow humans, and I would dare I say other sentient beings on this planet, can you imagine the frequency and vibration and the feelings, the empathy that we would all feel for each other? Right. That's what's at stake here. And that's why I do what I do, to help people essentially evolve.
Yeah. And I think that's why probably all of us are here at this time, at this moment. And there's so many of us. It's not just that we're awakening because there needs to be a shift. We volunteered to come at this time, at this place, in this life, at this moment, for this existence, for the change that's going to come in the future. I mean, we're the ones that are starting to change, or we're part of the ones that are starting to change, because it started happening years ago. But it's for our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and even their great-great-grandchildren. It's a whole change of a human evolutionary, I don't even know what word to use because I don't think the word has even come out yet, but we're changing. Okay, we're going to go really sci-fi now if you want. We're literally changing our DNA. The DNA
Yes.
that we've been told that exists and that scientifically proven that is the only DNA there is, there are the research and scientists going out there to prove that consciousness itself has DNA within us. And they are more than just the two strands or 12 strands. And I've seen them and I've been able to activate them. And it's kind of like we are the ones shifting the awakening, because there's people that are still way far in the closet that are eventually going to start waking up, because what you've been saying, we are all intuitive because we are all spiritual. Whether we want to act on it or not, we are all spiritual beings.
Right. And, you know, as they say, you know, we're not humans having a spiritual experience, right? We're spiritual beings having a human experience, which means our natural state is spiritual. So if you believe that, then our natural state is spiritual. We're naturally intuitive. Question is, we close things off. The way I refer to it is, people are light bulbs, and the way we're taught covers the light bulb a bit. Some of the negative feelings we've had are raised, covers the light bulb. The way we're told how to act in work covers a light bulb, and you have this dark light bulb. Question is, when you start to polish that light bulb and take some of that black paint off, you see a little shine. And when you have light bulbs that are fully lit, they tend to attract other light bulbs, and the light gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It can't be stopped. We're already in that. The shift is essentially a number of light bulbs coming to bed, getting clean, and then shining together. So the light is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you hear this all the time. Light workers. We're all light workers. I'm like, okay, yeah. Then what if I told you it's literally a light? Like, this isn't figurative light. It's a literal light. It's not stopping. That's the shift. The question is, can we speed up that shift? Because what's at stake if we don't accelerate that shift? Right? Are we going to blow ourselves up altogether? You know, before we make that enlightened in light and movement for us. And that's what drives me now, which is why I couldn't stay in the closet, so to speak, anymore. There's too much at stake not to. You know, if you don't mind, Angie, I'll share my story. You know, when I was more aware of my intuitive side, was I mentioned being with the Healing Touch practitioner, Rita. She's in Charlotte, North Carolina. When she had been doing the Healing Touch with me, you know, and I remember feeling her hand on my face. I thought she was going to kiss me, because I felt hot air, and I thought, my eyes are closed, I thought she had her face and she was breathing right on my face. So I opened my eyes, and it was just her hand. And I was like, what? And then I had a flash of images, just boom, 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 just these images in my head. And I sat up and I said, what was that? And she said, what was that? I said, I'm sorry, I just saw some images. And she's like, what? And I said, there were some images. And I looked at her, and when I looked at her, I saw a white tube from my chest extend out to her chest. And I was looking at it going, what is this? And then I looked at her and I said, are you a teacher? You're building a program? And she's like, yeah, I'm building a program for nurses, because she used to do Healing Touch in the hospitals.
Okay.
So the doctors would call her in, and I said, are you going to California? And she says, yes. How did you know? Because in my peripheral vision, I'm seeing the outline of California, and I know what the state of California looks like. And I'm seeing this plane going. And now keep in mind, I have like, what the hell is going on? Why am I seeing a little plane going to the state of California? And I said, are you flying to California? She says, yeah. How did you know? I said, because I see the state of California and I see a little plane.
A little plane.
And she's like, and so I end up reading her, and I left that office and I went back and I told my wife what was going on. And she's like, that's crazy. So I end up going, and here I am seeing all these images, and I'm just reading people left and right. And I'm like, what is going on? So I go home and I get this message in my head that I should call my client. And I have a client, turns out to be two psychics.
Hmm.
So they're two sisters. And so I call them up and I say, one's in North Carolina, one's in Canada. And I say, can we get on Skype? And I had a Microsoft Surface Pro. So I used to draw on my computer. And so I'm talking to them, I'm drawing circles. And I'm like, and they're like, I'm told, I just have this sense that I'm supposed to be helping you with your building a book. They were writing a book and a program for coaching. And so I'm talking to them, I'm drawing circles, and I'm just drawing like crazy. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I'm just drawing circles. That's like this, da, da, da. And finally I said, hey, Michelle, she was an artist. I said, can you paint a picture with a bunch of circles on it and a little boat, a purple sky, and 5 E's for empower, encourage. And I had their signature system mapped out. And I said, can you draw us this abstract painting for the cover of your book and the program? And she's like, sure. So the next day, she sends me a text message and she says, she just sends me a text message of this picture. It's got circles, just like I drew, and it's got a little boat, and it's got the purple sky and sea. And I go, and I text back, perfect. And she texts me back and she says, she texts me back after I sent perfect. And she says, I painted this 2 months ago.
Oh, wow.
And I said, well, that was weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I go over to meet them at her sister's house in North Carolina. So I'm meeting with them and their friend, and I turn, and as I'm eating lunch, I turn to their friend, Christina, who's there. And as I'm eating my salad, I look over and I go, hey, there's a little blinking boy's face, blue blinking face, little boy blinking next to this woman I just met, right? So I go, keep eating. And finally I'm looking and I turn to the lady and Christina, and I go, hey, Christina, what's up with a 5 or 6-year-old little boy next to you? And she's like, what? And she puts her fork down. She turns to me and she says, what are you talking about? I said, yeah, because it would not stop blinking in my peripheral vision. Right. So I said, there's like a little boy, 5 or 6-year-old next to you. And she says to me, oh, well, my half brother died when he was 6. Mm-hmm. And I always feel like he's next to me. And I said, yeah, he is. And she gets on the phone. She calls up her daughter or someone in the family, and I'm talking to them. I tell my wife, and I go, I think I'm going crazy here. And so I'm driving home, and I get home, and my daughter's at home, and my daughter and my wife are around the dining table. And my daughter goes, ha, 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 I hear you're psychic. And I'm like, hey, no need to make fun of me. So I sit down. She's like, well, I just came up with some names for my new business. If you're psychic, what's the name of my new business? And I looked at her, and I see, the way I see things is when I don't see, I see some pictures, I don't hear things, I see things. So I see a name come up and it says cutesy AF. And I go in cursive, QT and then AF. And I see the letters writing in front of me. And I go, what's to me, AF means Air Force. And I go, what's QT Air Force? Didn't make sense. I said, what's QT AF? And she says, I said, what's AF? And she says, well, it means totally different. And I go, you came up with it. And she's like, she grabs her notebook, right? She grabs her spiral notebook and she opens it up. She had 20 names written down. And in the middle of the 20 names was different company names, QTAF. And she's like, well, if you're so good, what's my logo? And I look at her, and right there's a 3D heart with a ribbon around it and a bow on the top. And the ribbon, it says QTAF. And I go, and I describe this to her, and she's screaming at this point. She's like, oh my God. And she grabs the notebook, another notebook she had on the table, and she opens it and she says, and there's a picture she had drawn of not a heart, a 3D heart, because I saw like a 3D heart with a ribbon, with a bow, and it's a QTAF. And she's screaming. And ever since then, it hasn't stopped. Every day I have so many things. the marketing technology side of me, especially the tech side, is like, there's got to be a logical explanation.
Right.
And then there's part of me is like, you cannot make this stuff up, right? There's just no, and I've had countless stories since then. And that happened in 2018. So right now, I know it's real. I can't dispute it anymore. And I've had, like I said, I've embraced it. I'm a business intuitive. And I know, though, here's the difference. It's one thing to know you're an intuitive. I recognize that. But the next question you say is why?
Mm-hmm.
Why? I help those who help others.
Yeah.
Why? Because I believe that's their mission in life, to help others. It's the right thing to do. But why?
Mm-hmm.
But here's why. I believe we're headed to a whole nother level as not just a race,
Right.
the human race, but as a planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that case, we can't stop, right? We have to keep going. I want to accelerate that. And I believe when we do good works, when we help others, there's a reason why we love helping others. It's because it raises our vibration.
Right.
It's closer to our natural state as a spiritual being.
Right.
I will do everything and anything I can to raise that state as quickly as possible. And that's my mission in life, to help others, help those who help others, because I believe when you help those who help others, in the act of helping others, you raise your state
Right.
to another level.
Right.
And that's what I'm sticking to. That's my whole mission.
And I think that's beautiful because, like what you went through with your wife, I think a lot of people, and I know we have to start wrapping up, but I know there's a lot of people that are afraid to say I'm a psychic because well-hearted and fun-loving, they'll come and be like, oh, if you're a psychic, then guess this. Nobody likes to be put on the spot, especially for something that we're not understanding ourselves. And I love that you brought that up, because I think there's a lot of people that have noticed, and actually I've talked to a lot of people that have noticed that they're more psychic and intuitive and connected to themselves than they really know. They just don't understand, but they don't tell people because they don't know who to talk to.
Right.
Based on that, and I know we have to wrap up, where can people start reaching out to you? I know you have a whole bunch of different platforms. You help so many different people. What is the best way for everybody to be able to connect with you?
I go by Ronnie Tsunami, and go big, go fast. Anything I do, I never do anything small. So if anyone wants to reach out to me just to ask questions, I'd love to connect. I just love to connect.
Mm-hmm.
Go to ronnietsunami.com. That's tsunami with a T, TSUNAMI, ronnietsunami.com. All my contact information there is there. My scheduler is there to book appointments with me, to learn all the different things that I do. And I will tell you this much. There is a tsunami of energy flowing. Oh, yeah. The question is whether or not you have a surfboard and you're ready to ride that wave. Because if you, as I say, every hour and every minute, every second, your message isn't out there, someone is suffering, right? Yeah. You have the ability to help them. Let me help you. And this wave is not coming. It is here. And if you're not riding it, then that means you're beneath it. I say ride the wave.
No, beautiful. I will put your website below in the description. Ronnie, thank you so much for sharing with us, for doing everything that you do, and for being that tsunami that literally helps everybody else be little tsunamis with you. Because I think that's the power of all of us helping each other. It's not only for us to help those that don't know it, but for us to help the ones that do. So everybody needs help.
Well, aloha and mahalo. Thank you, Angie, for inviting me. And let's keep riding the wave.
We will. All right, everyone. Thank you. Bye.